I can recall the day we destroyed an empire almost perfectly, the blood on my katana, wet as I watched the golden city in chaos. Hear the screams of the so-called living gods, cut short as we cut them on their dax guards down. But I can hardly remember my time before Zarman 10-0. All that's there is a feeling. Nostalgia is the word that best fits it. It's a feeling of comfort, a bit of sorrow, but mostly just not the feelings I have as a Tenno. For that is what I am, a Tenno, one of many awoken in this time of strife and tribulation. Aboard my ship, I sit in repose. Released from the confines of the dream, I find the exercise of meditation all the calmer. I am myself again, still trapped in a child's body as I've been these last few centuries. Blood courses through my veins, breath leaves my lungs, the coolness of the recycled air touches the skin of my face. I am myself again, not the other thing. My warframe sits before me, my armor, my second skin, my other self, the other thing. He is an Excalibur. I have piloted many other warframes over the years, Chroma, Mesa, Frost, but Excalibur was my first. He's been with me all these centuries, like a shadow. He sits across from me, my empty chrysalis watching, like a hungry maw waiting for my return. In an instant, I could return to it, teleport through the void in the blink of an eye, and take control of my second skin. But I don't. I sit in contemplation, my mind weighed by the sins I have committed and all that I have lost. I can recall the first person I killed, a man, a simple man, not a tyrant, not a monster, not some rampaging sentient. It was a man, I, a creature reborn of the void with powers so great they should be feared, was ordered to kill a man. I never learned his name. Back then we never cared about names. Secure in the dream Margulis placed us in, controlling our warframes from Luna, we regressed to infant. Back then, killing a man was as simple as being asked to walk across the room. In my meditation, a smile perks the corner of my lips. Men killing men. There is something poetic, truly human about the notion. I recall the teachings of my blade master, the Dax, Veda. All that you need to know of this world is that men will kill other men. If you can understand that, then you can rest easier. She was blunt by Dax standards, but she wasn't wrong. I remember her words as I embarked on my first assignment as a Tenno. I was sent to Saturn, to one of the Orokin's floating cities that processed helium and other materials that were siphoned up from the gas giant's lower atmosphere. I remember seeing the city in the view of my old landing craft. It was beautiful, resplendent white in the peach-colored clouds. Golden towers stretched high. Below the base of the city, long tendrils swayed in the wind, sucking in the resources that would make the Orokin fatter with power. The city would be destroyed by the Orokin during the course of the war with the Sentients. Better no one have it if the Orokin couldn't. The city lives in my memory, however, forever in my memory. A floating island in a sea of peach-colored clouds. For a moment I smile. A pipe sputters, air hissing, and all at once my eyes open. The Grenier cruiser I've taken for my own is resplendent with distraction. quiets down after a few moments. I look over at my chrysalis, awkwardly spliced into the ship's systems, control terminals and monitors enshrine it like a halo. The room I meditate in is a far cry from the temples of Earth I once spent days in contemplation within. It's an engine room. It's larger than it needs to be, with a dome-shaped ceiling with a single orange spotlight pointed to the center. Man-sized tubes jut from the ceiling, and the computer drones on. A narrow bridge connects to an exterior array of encircling terminals and readouts. Below the bridge is a shadowy chasm that connects to a much larger cooling vent 20 meters down. The door to the room parted, and Re-26 came in. Enhanced by artificial legs, she stood nearly 7 feet tall. Her round helmet was slung over her back, which gave me a view of her face. The Grineer I remember in the time of the Orokin were a simple-looking creature, small with light grayish skin. Ree's face was calmer, a bit more wrinkled, as though her skin were always dry. She wore a gray cap that covered her from her body to the top of her head. Her eyes were the only thing that linked her to what I called humanity. They were a beautiful shade of orange, unblemished in this age of decay. Ree's metal legs clanked across the bridge, her long-barreled heavy gun clipping the side railing as she came onto my side that caused a light ringing in my ear. "Commander," she said, her voice seemingly always hoarse. "Are you okay?" She struggled with the words. I'd met other Grineer who were almost more eloquent. The Grineer were a cloned army, and it seemed some of their ranks were deliberately made not to have the brain power to do anything other than follow simple orders and pull a trigger. I turned a raised eyebrow her way. "Why would I not be?" I said. She shifted from side to side on her middle legs. "Ree heard sound." I narrowed my eyes. "Ree, were you standing outside the door again?" She looks away. "Ree?" "Ree must protect Commander. Commander is important." "I'm fine, Ree." You are not scary Tenno anymore. You are small flesh boy." I smile at this. Instantly, I pull myself through the void and place myself within the chrysalis meters away. In a fraction of a second, I dive into the dream and in control of Excalibur. My view shifts, a hazy, writhing dark green around the periphery. But I turn Excalibur's head and look at Ree. My katana is sheathed before me. With years of practice, which has become an invisible limb, I pick it up, unsheath it in one clean motion. When all is said and done, my blade is at Ree's neck, and she is still wondering where my flesh body disappeared to. She finally notices the blade, taking a step back. I cannot smile or speak within the confines of my warframe, not to Ree at least. Just as when we first met, my actions are my words. I sheathe my blade and fold my arms. Ree rubs her neck with long fingers. Okay, Commander is fine." I point my scabbard at the door. She nods and clanks across the bridge before leaving the room. I smile inwardly as I sit back down, placing my sword before me. You have cared for me as Ree does. Margulis, the Archimedean, was one, the Lotus another. And though I find her strange, I do not discount her worry. She had known me only as the Tenno, the silent, enigmatic Warframe who communicated only through gestures and points. It is only recently that she has seen my true form, rescued from the crumbling temple on Lua. I look back at my real body, the flesh boy, Reed calls it. Sitting in the chrysalis is a young boy dressed in the black skin-tight flight suit of the Zaraman 10-0. He is perhaps on the cusp of puberty. In truth, I cannot say how old I was before my change aboard that ship. My age is approximately 30, give or take a few centuries in stasis. My wisdom is further still. I believe I was always contemplative. I can feel it in my blood. I return to my meditation, to Saturn and the floating city. I didn't land at the port. My lander flies me over the industrial quarter where most of the refining process occurs. From my sarcophagus-like housing, I am turned towards the city from the underside of the ship. With katana in hand, I release the magnetic clamps keeping me stationary. Pressing off the hull, I race down towards the city like a bullet. I slow my fall, sliding down a vent tower before bullet jumping towards an adjacent tower. I land on the railing and look below. I can see the Grenier, the Orokin slaves moving the harder ore and materials in the streets below. They are not who I seek. I hunt for a man who would defy the Orokin. I do not know his name, but I have committed his face to memory. He has a square jaw, slim nose, and bleached white hair. He is a young man, perhaps 20 or 30. He isn't as old as the Orokin or as Raiden. This I know on an instinctual level. I run through the factory, jumping over railing, darting past weary Grenier eyes, moving deeper and deeper into the factory. I blend into the darkness, using it as a cloak as I find myself in a cramped area of the plant. I see my target, dressed in fine yet regal working clothes. For a moment, I think he is a member of the mercantile guilds who are today known as the bloated porpoise, but he isn't. He wears a golden bracelet entwining spheres of ruby alongside his right arm. He is an aide to some Orokin, among the highest a human can be without being one of the gray-skinned giants. Two men stand on either side of him. They are dressed in light blues with cybernetic skin that pulse streams of blue. These men I took for merchants. They all looked at a halo projector in the center of the room depicting a sentient. It was the first, but not last time I would ever see one. With the naked eye, they are haunting creatures. Though artificial, I would say their structure is made of bone, the color of beige, surrounding a central point of energy. At that moment, seeing the sentient for the first time will live on in my memory. A single white eye was all I could see. It was itself surrounded by a hollow projection of the rest of its body, a thing that resembled some eldritch abomination of wings and writhing bony tendrils. But it was the eye that caught my attention the most. "Then we are agreed," the sentient said. Its voice was cybernetic, artificial, synthesized with hints of a man, woman, and child's voice, but it was the child that came through the most coherently. "You shall give me the factory in exchange for your people's lives." "Yes," my target said. "I have seen the projections. The Orokin will lose this war." The merchants next to him nodded. "It is inevitable." In the shadows of the upper catwalk, I stalked to a better position so that the eye of the sentient's hollow projection sat between me and my target. "My friends here will deliver you the first shipments of ore," The man continued, till you are in position to take full control of the island. The sentient said, what do your friends gain in our bargain? They only wish to ferry your goods, have their ships be unharmed, and in the aftermath of war continue to make profit. In your name, that is. The sentient giggled. Profit? We seek not profit, but life. Profit is life, my lord, the merchant said. One needs capital to live, and to live, one must seek the means to make capital. It is the engine of creation. The sentient hummed, its synthesized voice reverberating through my phantom blood. I wonder now, so far removed from that time and place, why I did not strike the second I saw my target. I knew he was meant for death. I had no qualms about it, no hints of hesitation or reservation. It was the sentient. I was fascinated by him. A human creation, outwardly alien, yet so human in tone. I would speak on this more, the sentient said. The merchants smiled, looking to one another. What is your name, my lord? You may call me Stahar, and I am no lord. I was once but a simple atmospheric scrubber, a job not too far removed from what you do on your island. I am humbled, my target said. You need not be. We live and we wish to continue to live. I wonder now if profit cannot mean more. The merchants nodded their heads. I took that moment to draw one of the kunai I had stowed at my hip. I drew it to a throw. But what of the Orokin? The sentient said. What if they sent someone for you? An assassin? I halted my draw at that. My target chuckled. The Orokin care little for my dealings. But what if they did? The sentient said. What if they knew of your plans and sent someone? He could be in this very room right now. The sentient's hollow-projected eye turned around the room, its light becoming like that of a lighthouse. I fell back further into the darkness as its light came near. Again, now so far from the event, I wonder why I did not strike then. Do you know something? My target asked. I merely wish to know if you could have been found out. Well, my target seemed to think. No. Well, I don't think it's possible. I've been communicating on a secure line. I haven't said anything to anyone except... He turned to look at one of the merchants. You said you got drunk on a bar on Earth a week ago. He grabbed the merchant by the collar. Did you speak, man? Did you tell anyone the lost drink? Some tryst you wasted your precious capital on? Speak! The merchant's eyes rapidly shifted between my target to that of the eye of Stahar. I could have said something to a bar wench in a pub, but nothing. You've ruined us, you fool. I told you to tell no one. If the Orokin found out about this meeting, It's too late, Stahar said. You may come out, assassin. I detected your presence the moment you left your ship. Yes, I am close, and I am watching. No need to be shy. Reveal yourself. For a moment, I thought it all some elaborate trap. But call it hubris. Call it curiosity. I knew nothing in that room could hurt me. I leapt from the shadows, landing on the floor behind the hollow projector in the center of the room. Stahar's eye turned on me, and it was blinding. So, Stahar said. The hollow projection shifted, its eye tilting ever so slightly. You are the so-called Tenno. Hunhow has mentioned rumor of you. Wielders of the void. I have wanted to meet you, to speak. Do what you must so that we may converse. The eye turned to my target. With much sadness, I must end our dealings. It is most unfortunate. I believe we could have been good acquaintances, but I believe you are about to die. Veda once told me that men do either of three things before they die: scream, cry, or breathe serenely. They scream because they are angry and wish to howl against the unfairness of their deaths. They cry because they fear their death. Those who breathe serenely are to be respected because they accept their end. Their deaths should be quick and painless. My target took a deep breath before exhaling. Yes, he said, as he walked around the other side of the projector to face me. I suppose you're right. He did not look at me with contempt, but pity. So, you are the Tenno. I too have heard whisper of you. My master thinks you nothing more than a boogeyman the 7 emperors cooked up. But I knew you were real. A bunch of little monsters pulled from the void to do the wet work of the Orokin. If you think I fear you, dash those illusions, child. I have prepared myself for this day ever since I stole bread from my master's plate. I defy the Orokin, not out of selfish preservation. I defy them because it is justice. Because the sentients are here to bring a reckoning to their corrupt empire, and I, for one, welcome them. He held out his arms. Do what you will, child. But mark my words. One day, perhaps tomorrow, perhaps in a century, I don't know, but one day, you will stand where I stand. Whether out of desperation or choice. I heard his words, soaked them in. They penetrated my brain like a virus or Trojan horse and would lay dormant for years, growing until years later they would blossom into a blood-drenched flower. At that time was years in the future. I unsheathed my katana. My target closed his eyes. One stroke, truly the most perfect cut in my life, was all that was needed. The head toppled from his body and rolled to the base of the projector. The body stood erect, however, as though it was my target's last will, his last defiance. What of them? Stahar said. I looked to the merchants, my target's would-be co-conspirators. The Orokin had tasked me with delivering death to my target and those who stood in my way. The merchants met none of those specifications. I sheathed my blade and pointed my scabbard towards the door. The merchants had been stunned ever since I came from the shadows. They might have thought I would cut them down the moment their eyes left me. Our silent friend appears to be giving you, gentlemen, the opportunity to gain future profit. I suggest you take it. But I fear if he is not tasked with your deaths, some other Orokin nightmare will be coming your way. My condolences. The merchants ran then, falling over themselves before they reached the door and exited my life entirely. Oh then, Stahar said, a hint of glee in his tone. We can converse, though that may prove a difficulty in your state. Well, it doesn't matter. Words alone can be quite deceptive in their own way. Actions speak louder than words. So if that is true, then, sir, you have been an orator, and I, a captive audience. Today you have shown me the power and resolve of the Tenno, the fear and strength of men, and the Pandora's box the Orokin have unleashed upon themselves. I could not respond, but if I could, I would have asked him why he was still talking to me. I would have asked him so many things. Why I'm contemplative. It's in my blood. I stood there, bathing in Stahar's words for some time until he said, "Alas, my new Tenno friend must return to my people and tell them the unfortunate news that Saturn will need to be taken with more force than we originally projected. Maybe I will see you on the battlefield and speak not with our words, but with our blades. I will call on you. I will call you my acquaintance, so you will know it is me undoubtedly. I have never relished the thought of battle so much as now. I pray for that day to be soon. Until then, Tata." The hollow projection winked off, and I was left in the gloom of the room. In that shade, I looked at my target's body and beheld something that would not make sense to me until years later, when another life lay bleeding at my feet. I remember the day we beheaded an empire. I stood within one of the grand halls of the Seven's convening chambers. The lowly guards and a dax lay strewn at my feet, blood dripping down the walls and on my blade. The Orokin was not one of the seven, but a lowly underling. He looked up at me, golden eyes pleading for mercy, tears streaming down his cheeks. In that moment, I remember being in that gloomy room so many years ago, seeing this moment playing out. Once upon a time, I, a Tenno, the Orokin's Warframe, was asked to kill a simple man. Once upon another time, I, a Tenno, the Orokin's Warframe, decided to kill a so-called god. And that's what I did. I stabbed down. I was not quick, like with my target. It was slow, crude. My katana deflected off the Orokin's spine. Veda taught me to kill those worthy of death swiftly. Those undeserving, well, you get the picture. If you believe in eternalism, then you might have said that I saw one of a multitude of possible futures. But I don't believe that. I feel sure of anything in my life. I saw the self that was me in 2 points of my life, linked for some inextricable reason. I see that now. But back then, at both those points, I thought them nothing but flights of fancy, a daydream I would recall from time to time, a memory of tomorrow. I open my eyes, my true eyes. I step out of the chrysalis and walk towards the door. I have a room on the deck, and I intend on sleeping until I am either called by the lotus or some distress call in the waves. Passing Excalibur, I pat my old Warframe on the horn. I cross the bridge and exit the engine room. In the corner of my eye, I see a shape. And at the door is Ree. She sits on the ground, gun propped against the wall next to her. She sleeps a soundless sleep. I'm not sure what compels me, but I go to her. I lie down, placing my head on her armored lap. It's warm. I close my eyes and I dream. I dream of tomorrow.